There are moments in life when you face rejection or mistreatment from people you believed would stand by you. You poured out your love, your time, and your effort, but in return you were undervalued or even cast aside. It's easy to feel unworthy in those moments, but I want to remind you today, you were too good for them. Your value is something inherent, given to you by the Creator. It's not determined by the opinions of others, nor is it dictated by how people treat you. One of the greatest mistakes we can make is basing our self-worth on external factors, what others say, how they respond, or whether they accept us. But true value isn't something that fluctuates with the moods and actions of people around us. It's constant, anchored in the truth that you were designed with intention, purpose, and significance. Many people go through life unaware of their true worth. They find themselves in environments or relationships where they're undervalued, overlooked, or even mistreated. It's easy to internalize that kind of treatment, to start believing that you're not good enough. But when you allow other people's perception of you to define how you see yourself, you're handing over your power. You're letting people who may not even know their own worth dictate yours. You must understand that you are not what others label you. Your value isn't diminished by someone else's failure to recognize it. Just because they didn't appreciate your kindness, your intelligence, or your love doesn't mean those qualities aren't there. Often, people are unable to see the greatness in others because they are blinded by their own insecurities or limited vision. Don't let their short-sightedness affect how you see yourself. I think about it, a diamond doesn't lose its value because someone mistook it for a piece of glass. It remains precious regardless of how it's treated. You are much the same. You are intricately crafted with gifts, talents, and a purpose that no one can take away from you. But you must first recognize it within yourself. When you do, you stop waiting for validation from others, and you start walking in the confidence that your worth is non-negotiable. So learning to recognize your value is about understanding who you are at your core. It's about tapping into the truth that your existence is not accidental. You were placed on this earth with potential, with something that only you can bring into the world. And whether others see it or not doesn't change that fact. In fact, the more you recognize your own value, the less affected you'll be by those who don't. You won't need their approval or their acknowledgement because you already know who you are. This recognition isn't about arrogance or thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about living in alignment with the truth of who you were created to be. It's about honoring yourself enough to not settle for less than you deserve, whether in relationships, work, or any area of life. When you know your worth, you stop accepting mediocrity. You stop allowing people to treat you as if you're ordinary because you know you are extraordinary. Too often, people who fail to recognize their own value end up in situations where they're taken for granted. They give and give, hoping that one day someone will finally see their worth. But the truth is, the recognition has to start from within. You have to see your own value before anyone else does. And when you do, you'll notice a shift in how you allow others to treat you. You'll no longer settle for crumbs when you know you deserve a seat at the table. So recognize your value not because of what others say, but because of what you know deep within. Walk in that truth, and the world around you will start to reflect it back to you. Your value was never up for debate. It was always there. It's time you see it for yourself. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that how others treat you reflects your worth. When someone disrespects you, ignores you, or undervalues you, it can feel like a direct statement about your value. But the truth is, you are not defined by how others treat you. Their actions, their words, and their attitudes are not a measure of who you are. People treat others based on their own perspectives, experiences, and often their own unresolved issues. How they behave towards you has more to do with them than it does with you. Someone who is insecure may lash out or try to bring others down because they're projecting their own inner turmoil. Someone who has never learned to appreciate themselves will find it difficult, if not impossible, to appreciate you. Their mistreatment is a reflection of their own struggles, not a reflection of your worth. Understanding this principle is essential to maintaining a strong sense of self-worth. If you allow how others treat you to define you, you'll constantly be on a roller coaster of emotions, feeling good when people are kind and feeling inadequate when they're not. But your value doesn't fluctuate with the moods or opinions of others. It remains constant, rooted in something much deeper than external validation. Often we get caught up in trying to please others, thinking that if we do everything right, they will treat us with respect and love. But even when you give your best, there will be times when people still don't appreciate it. They may still overlook your efforts or take advantage of your kindness. If your self-worth is tied to their response, you'll end up feeling depleted and defeated. The key is to recognize that their inability to treat you well is not a reflection of you. It's also important to understand that some people simply don't have the capacity to give you what you deserve. They may be dealing with their own issues, or they may not know how to value someone like you. That doesn't make you any less worthy of respect, love, or kindness. It just means that they are not capable of giving it. You can't control how others behave, but you can control how you internalize their behavior. You can choose to rise above it and not let it dictate how you see yourself. When you stop defining yourself by how others treat you, you take back your power. You stop seeking validation from external sources and start finding it within yourself. You recognize that you are valuable simply because of who you are, not because of how someone else perceives you. And when you live in that truth, you become less affected by the actions and opinions of others. This shift in mindset allows you to set healthier boundaries. You no longer tolerate mistreatment because you know you deserve better. You stop trying to prove your worth to those who cannot see it. Instead, you invest your energy in relationships and environments where you are valued and respected for who you are. You don't need to change or diminish yourself to fit into someone else's limited view of you. How others treat you is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to know your worth and not let anyone take that from you. You are defined by the purpose you carry, the gifts you've been given, and the value you bring to the world. No one's treatment of you can take that away. You are far more than the sum of someone else's opinions or behavior. You are whole, valuable, and worthy, regardless of how others may have chosen to treat you. When you understand your purpose, you begin to realize that not everyone or everything in your life is meant to align with it. Purpose is a powerful force that shapes your direction, your decisions, and the environments you find yourself in. However, many people struggle with the tension that comes from being in situations where they feel out of place, misunderstood, or unappreciated. This feeling of discomfort is often a sign of misalignment, where the people or circumstances around you are not conducive to the fulfillment of your purpose. Misalignment doesn't mean there is something wrong with you, nor does it mean you are failing in some way. It simply means that the environment you're in, or the people you're connected to, are no longer aligned with the path you are meant to walk. Sometimes the relationships, jobs, or situations that once felt right can become uncomfortable as you grow. This is because purpose is not static, it evolves as you evolve. When you experience growth, your purpose can call you to move in a different direction, and this shift often causes friction with your current circumstances. One of the most challenging aspects of pursuing purpose is recognizing when you've outgrown certain environments or relationships. It can be difficult to let go, especially when you've invested time, energy, or emotions into something or someone. But staying in a place of misalignment can limit your growth and prevent you from stepping into the fullness of what you are called to do. The discomfort you feel in misaligned situations is often a signal that it's time to move forward, to seek out new opportunities, or to release relationships that no longer serve your higher purpose. People sometimes stay in misaligned situations because they fear the unknown. They worry about what will happen if they let go, or they cling to the familiar even when it no longer brings fulfillment. But living in alignment with your purpose requires faith and trust. It requires the courage to walk away from situations that no longer reflect who you are becoming. When you recognize that staying in misalignment hinders your growth, you start to understand that leaving, is not a failure, it's a necessary step toward your destiny. Misalignment often reveals itself through frustration, stagnation, or a sense that something is missing. You may feel as though you're constantly trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for you. That's because when you are living outside of your purpose, there is an inner conflict between who you are and where you are. This conflict is a natural part of growth, but it becomes detrimental when you ignore it. Recognizing misalignment and making the decision to realign with your purpose is essential to living a fulfilled life. Being in the right environment is critical to the fulfillment of your purpose. You need to be in places and around people who support your growth, who challenge you to become better, and who push you closer to your goals. Misaligned environments and relationships, on the other hand, will drain your energy and hinder your progress. You can't expect to thrive in places that weren't designed to nurture your purpose. When you surround yourself with the right support system and position yourself in the right spaces, you give your purpose the room it needs to flourish. Purpose is a guiding light. When you stay true to it, it will lead you to the right people, the right opportunities, and the right environments. But that journey requires you to let go of what no longer aligns, even when it's difficult. Misalignment is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth, a signal that you are being called to something greater. Your purpose will always pull you toward the next level. And the only way to get there is by walking away from what no longer fits your journey. Separation is often the necessary precursor to elevation. In life, before you can rise to a new level, you must first leave behind what no longer serves your growth. This process of separation can be painful and confusing because it often involves distancing yourself from familiar people, environments, and habits. However, it is a fundamental part of growth. Elevation requires space for new opportunities, new perspectives, and new experiences that are aligned with where you are headed, not where you have been. Many people fear separation because it feels like loss. It's natural to want to hold on to relationships, situations, or even mindsets that have been a part of your journey. But just because something was once good for you doesn't mean it will always be. As you grow and evolve, you will find that certain things no longer fit. This isn't a reflection of failure or disloyalty, rather, it is a sign of progress. To reach new heights, you have to be willing to separate yourself from the things that keep you grounded in a space that no longer challenges or nurtures your potential. Separation is not always physical. Sometimes it is emotional or mental. You may need to detach from limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns, or fears that hold you back from stepping into your full potential. These inner separations are just as critical as the external ones. Elevation requires a shift in mindset, and to embrace that new mindset, you often have to release the old one. This process can feel like a tearing apart of what you once thought was true, but it's necessary for growth. Consider the process of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. Before it can soar into the sky, it must separate from the cocoon that held it. The cocoon was necessary for its development, but it would become a prison if the butterfly remained inside. In the same way, the environments or relationships that were once crucial to your growth can become restrictive if you stay in them too long. Separation allows you to break free from what once nurtured you, but is no longer sufficient for where you are going. This process requires faith. Separation often happens before you have a clear view of where you are headed. You may feel like you are being pulled away from everything that's familiar without knowing what will come next. But that's where elevation begins, in the unknown, in the space between where you've been and where you're going. It's in this space that you are stretched, refined, and prepared for the next level. It's also important to understand that not everyone will go with you when you elevate. Some people are meant to be part of your journey for a season, but not for the entirety of it. Trying to hold on to relationships or situations that no longer align with your purpose will only weigh you down. Elevation requires lightness. It requires shedding what's heavy, whether that's negative influences, toxic relationships, or outdated beliefs about yourself. Separation can also bring clarity. When you step away from the distractions and noise of certain environments, you begin to see more clearly where you are meant to go. Elevation often requires solitude, a period where you are alone with your thoughts, your purpose, and your creator. In this solitude, you gain insight, vision, and strength for the journey ahead. It's in this space of separation that you prepare for elevation. Separation precedes elevation because growth requires letting go. You can't rise to new heights if you're still tethered to the ground. You must release what's holding you back, even if it's difficult. The discomfort of separation is temporary, but the rewards of elevation are eternal. When you trust the process, you'll find that what you gain from elevation far outweighs what you lost in separation. Settling for less is one of the greatest disservices you can do to yourself. When you settle for less than you deserve, you essentially deny your own worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of accepting less in your relationships, less in your career, less in your personal goals, because it feels comfortable, or because you believe there are no better options. But settling is not an act of humility or contentment, it's an act of fear. It comes from a place of doubting your own potential, from believing that you're not worthy of the best. Too often, people settle out of fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of rejection. They stay in relationships that don't nurture them because they're afraid they won't find anything better. They remain in jobs that drain them because they don't believe they can succeed elsewhere. But fear is not a valid reason to limit yourself. You can't allow fear to dictate your decisions or your future. Fear will keep you stagnant, while faith in your own abilities will propel you forward. When you settle for less, you also send a message to others about what you're willing to accept. If you tolerate disrespect, people will continue to disrespect you. If you accept being undervalued, others will continue to undervalue you. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Settling for less is essentially giving others permission to treat you as if you are less than what you truly are. But when you know your worth and refuse to settle, you set a standard that others must rise to. You teach them to respect your value because you respect yourself. Settling also impacts your sense of purpose. Each person has a unique purpose, a calling that is meant to be fulfilled. But when you settle for less, you are not living in alignment with that purpose. You may feel a constant sense of dissatisfaction or unfulfillment, knowing deep down that you are capable of more. This feeling is your inner self telling you that you are not where you're supposed to be. It's a signal that you are living below your potential and that it's time to rise to a higher level. Refusing to settle requires courage. It means walking away from situations, people, or opportunities that don't align with your vision for your life, even when it's uncomfortable. It means trusting that something better is waiting for you on the other side of that discomfort. It requires patience, because the best things in life often take time. But settling for less out of impatience only leads to long-term dissatisfaction. When you refuse to settle, you allow room for the right opportunities, the right relationships, and the right circumstances to come into your life. There will always be moments when settling seems like the easier option. But remember, you were not created to live an easy life, you were created to live a meaningful one. A life of purpose, fulfillment, and greatness requires that you demand more of yourself and your circumstances. It requires that you believe in your potential and that you act in accordance with that belief. Don't allow the fear of failure, the comfort of the familiar, or the opinions of others to cause you to settle for less than what you deserve. You are worthy of the best, and it's time to start living like it. There are moments in life when we face rejection, doors close, opportunities slip away, and people walk out of our lives. In these moments, it's easy to feel discouraged, hurt, or even abandoned. But what if that rejection was not meant to harm you, but to protect you? What if God's divine hand was guiding you away from something that wasn't meant for you? God's rejection is often His way of protecting you from situations, relationships, or paths that would hinder your growth or keep you from His greater plan. We often desire things that seem good for us in the moment, but God sees beyond the present. He sees the future, the unseen, and the long-term consequences of our choices. Sometimes what we think is best for us isn't aligned with what He knows is truly best. When God closes a door, it's because He has a better plan in mind, one that we cannot yet comprehend. Rejection can feel like failure, but in reality, it's God's redirection. He is moving you away from what will harm you and guiding you toward what will elevate and protect you. When we experience rejection, it's natural to ask, why didn't that opportunity work out? Why didn't that person stay? Why did the door close? But often the why is hidden until later, when we look back and realize that what we thought was a loss was actually a blessing. God knows what you need to fulfill your purpose, and sometimes that requires removing people or things from your life that don't align with that purpose. His rejection is a form of divine protection, ensuring that you are not burdened with distractions or harmful influences that could derail your journey. We have to learn to trust that God's plan is better than our own. In the moment of rejection, it's hard to see beyond the pain or disappointment. But if you trust that God is sovereign and has your best interest at heart, you can rest in the knowledge that what He withholds is just as important as what He gives. He may close a door today to open a greater one tomorrow. What looks like a missed opportunity is often God positioning you for something far greater than you could have imagined. God's protection can sometimes feel uncomfortable because it requires surrender. It requires us to let go of our own desires and trust in His timing. But remember, God sees the whole picture. He knows the people who are meant to stay in your life and those who are not. He knows the opportunities that will bless you and those that will burden you. Sometimes the very thing we're chasing is the thing that will bring us harm, and God's rejection is His way of saving us from it. I think about the times in your life when you faced rejection and later realized it was for your good. Perhaps it was a job you didn't get, only to find a better one later. Maybe it was a relationship that ended, only to make space for someone who truly values you. These experiences are not coincidences, they are God's way of steering you toward His perfect will. What may feel like a setback is actually a setup for something far better. God's protection is not always obvious in the moment, but it is always present. He shields you from dangers you can't see, from paths that would lead to destruction, and from people who don't have your best interests at heart. His rejection is His way of saying, I have something better for you. Trust me, it's a loving act, not a punishment. And when you learn to see rejection through the lens of divine protection, you'll begin to find peace in it. God's divine rejection is a part of His greater plan for your life. It's His way of ensuring that you stay on the path He has designed for you, one that leads to purpose, fulfillment, and blessing. When you trust in His plan and accept that His rejection is really His protection, you begin to see every closed door not as a failure, but as an opportunity for redirection. Moving forward with confidence is essential to fulfilling your purpose and unlocking your potential. Confidence is not about arrogance or thinking you have all the answers. It's about trusting that you are equipped to handle the challenges ahead and believing in the strength and abilities God has placed within you. Often we allow fear, doubt, and uncertainty to hold us back from taking the necessary steps toward our goals. But when you move forward with confidence, you break free from the limitations of fear and embrace the possibilities that lie ahead. Confidence begins with knowing who you are and whose you are. When you recognize that you are created for a purpose and that your steps are guided by divine wisdom, you can move through life with assurance even when the path ahead is unclear. Confidence is rooted in the understanding that you are not alone on your journey. God is with you, and He has equipped you with everything you need to succeed. This knowledge allows you to approach new opportunities, challenges, and even setbacks with a mindset of victory, knowing that whatever you face, you are capable of overcoming it. One of the greatest barriers to moving forward with confidence is the fear of failure. We often hesitate to take action because we are afraid of making mistakes or falling short of expectations. But failure is not the enemy of progress, it is a natural part of growth. Every successful person has faced failures along the way, but what sets them apart is their ability to keep moving forward despite the setbacks. Confidence doesn't mean you won't encounter obstacles. It means you trust yourself to navigate them and come out stronger on the other side. To move forward with confidence, you must also let go of past disappointments. Many people are stuck in the past, replaying their mistakes, missed opportunities, or moments of rejection. But you cannot move forward if you're constantly looking backward. The past is a place of lessons, not residence. Learn from it, but don't let it define your future. Confidence comes from understanding that your future is not determined by your past failures, but by the actions you take in the present. Every day is a new opportunity to step into your purpose, regardless of what has happened before. Another key to moving forward with confidence is surrounding yourself with positive influences. The people you allow into your life have a significant impact on your mindset and confidence. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, criticism, or doubt, it will be difficult to maintain a confident outlook. Seek out relationships that encourage you, challenge you to grow, and support your vision for your life. When you have people in your corner who believe in you, it becomes easier to believe in yourself. Confidence is also about preparation. When you are prepared mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you can approach new situations with assurance. Preparation involves building your skills, strengthening your character, and deepening your faith. It's about putting in the work behind the scenes so that when the opportunity arises, you are ready to step into it with confidence. Success doesn't come by chance, it comes by preparation meeting opportunity. The more prepared you are, the more confident you will feel in pursuing your goals. Moving forward with confidence requires a clear vision of where you are headed. Confidence without direction is like sailing a ship without a compass. You may move, but you won't reach your destination. Take time to define your goals, understand your purpose, and create a plan for how you will get there. When you have a clear vision, your confidence grows because you know what you're working toward and why it matters. You are no longer aimlessly wandering, you are moving with intention and purpose. Confidence is not something you are born with, it's something you build over time. Every step you take toward your goals, every challenge you overcome, and every lesson you learn contributes to your growing sense of confidence. As you move forward with confidence, you'll find that doors begin to open, opportunities arise, and your potential is unlocked in ways you never imagined. Confidence is the key that unlocks the doors to your destiny. In life, you will encounter situations where people, opportunities, or circumstances don't align with your worth or purpose. Yet, it's crucial to recognize that their rejection or departure is not a reflection of your value, but often God's divine protection and redirection. You are not defined by others' treatment, and you must never settle for less than what you deserve. The misalignment you experience is not a setback, but an indication that you are being prepared for something greater. Trust that every closed door and every rejection is part of God's plan to elevate you to a higher level. Moving forward with confidence means trusting in your divine purpose, embracing growth, and letting go of fear and doubt. It's about recognizing that your journey is guided, that you are not alone, and that every step you take is shaping you for the destiny that awaits. Keep your focus forward, hold on to the truth of your worth, and remember that divine rejection is often divine protection. As you move confidently into your future, you'll find that what lies ahead is far greater than anything you've left behind.